Does about any doubt with the GST? Any doubts with the GST? No doubts. Again, I should the input rate mechanism. So value added tax applies. So value added. So it's not on the final route. GST is always on the value added. Because beforely they will pay on the final good only. But at the end, again they will get their input rate when they find the GST returns at the end of the year. So you need to always be at the end of the year file whatever. So this is another concept, the electronic label. See, GST working on there were different tax, right? So when there were different taxes, so coordination issue they used to hide the tax. So one consignment move goes from one state to another state. So each state ಇನ್ನೊಂದು state ಹೋಗಿ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಹೇಳೋದು actually. ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ಅದು ಪೇ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ ಅಂತ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಹೇಳೋದು. ಇವ್ರಿಗೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಯಾರೋ ಪೇ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ ಅಂತ ಇವ್ರಿಗೆ ಹೇಳೋದು. Getting that. So they used to face tax evasion and tax hiding. Whenever they used to transfer the goods from one state to another state. So because we said right there was already a coordination issue and ಒಬ್ಬರು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಗೊತ್ತೇ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅವ್ರು ಎಷ್ಟು ವ್ಯಾಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ವ್ಯಾಟ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ at that time they didn't even have a slab rates. I mean across the India uniform tax rates ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ for all the indirect taxes. So at that time it used to happen. So they also brought what we call it as electronic way bill, that is e-way bill under the GST regime. So GST concept ಇದೆಲ್ಲ. So under that only they got that. So inter-district ಆಯಿತು also what interstate inner supply of goods or the transport of goods alle they have to carry that e-bill. Okay? So it is said that document issued by a carrier. So carrier giving details and instructions related to the shipment of a consignment of goods. So whenever they are trying to cross the border of the state, and other district in the district ಹೋಗಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ, so whenever the officers come and them, so carrier ಅಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ whichever vehicle is there, so ಆ vehicle ಹತ್ರ there should be a e-way bill. Okay? And it is mandatory if the goods value is above 50,000. 50,000 ಗಿಂತ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದ್ರೆ it is mandatory to carry the e-way bill. So below that it is optional whether they can modestly carry or not carry. It's up to them. It ensures compliance and also reduces the tax evasion. Because once they carry the bill, the e-way bill carry ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ they get to know, right? So yes, goods ಇದೆ ಅಂತಾನೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ and you see, right? So in ಕಡೆ ಹೋಗಿ like back door open ಮಾಡಿ they check everything. So whether the value is matching that or not. So ಇದನ್ನ like let us say smuggling ಮಾಡೋಕೆ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ and also there nothing but we can say goods hide ಮಾಡೋಕೆ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. So yes, tax pay like yes sell ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ or yes transport ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ that amount of tax has to be paid. So in that way we can ensure that there is no tax evasion under your electronic way. And export is the export GST 0. So it got as effectively 0 because ಮುಂಚೆ pay ಮಾಡಿಸ್ತಾರೆ but then what they do again what refund the GST amount whichever you have paid. And import ಅಲ್ಲಿ IGST right? Custom duty ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Custom duty is so central state one direct or indirect? Custom indirect. Okay fine. So custom duty plus IGST. So ಎರಡು add ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. So what is the IGST principle? Destination based or consumption based tax. And with respect to what is composition level? No, what is the purpose of composition? Small scale industry it becomes very rigid. So follow ಮಾಡೋದು ತುಂಬಾ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ and they have to do more expenditure in following the GST compliance only. So GST follow ಮಾಡೋಕಂದ್ರೆ they have to put more expenditure. So for that small industry what they will do, they will say that okay you just have to give turnover ಮೇಲೆ 6% ಅಥವಾ 5% or 1.5% ಕೊಡಿ. So they will just close the deal. So ಆ time ಅಲ್ಲಿ input rate mechanism ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ. They will not be given input rate mechanism because small scale ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಅವರ ಹತ್ರ GST ಬಿಲ್ ಜನರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಇವರು. ಈಗ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಸ್ಕೇಲ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ GST ಬಿಲ್ ಜನರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದೇ ಬೇಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಜನರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತಿರೋ ಇನ್ಪುಟ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರೇಟ್ ಮೆಕ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋಕೆ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. The government ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಒಂದು ಇನ್ಪುಟ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರೇಟ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ composition leave ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ. So both cannot be taken by the entity. So what are the benefits? So benefits will go for the what to say stakeholder approach. So ಯಾರ್ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಯಾವ ತರ ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ ಆಯ್ತು. So it go for industry business ಯಾವ ತರ ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ ಆಯ್ತು, then consumer ಯಾವ ತರ ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ ಆಯ್ತು, then for government how ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ ಆಯ್ತು. So ನೀವು ಒಬ್ಬೊಬ್ಬರ ಹತ್ರನೂ 3 ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್, you guys will get 9 points. So for business, is it a easy compliance or it is a difficult one? Easy, right? Because it's a uniform across the country. So one state will different VAT rates and they did not coordination issue entities. So government and rules not but coordination issue or matching the value. So how tax invoice could have right? So first year tax payment state tax payment. But invoice matching so ಅವ್ರದೇ serial number ಬೇರೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಇವ್ರದೇ serial ಬೇರೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಈಗ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಒಂದೇ GST number ಇರುತ್ತೆ means it is fixed GSTN ಅಂತ ಕೊಟ್ಟು then you have 6 alphanumerical digits. So ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಒಂದೇ format GST number ಇರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ so what will happen, it's easy to match the invoice. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರೋದು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರೋದು ಎರಡು ಮ್ಯಾಚ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. So it is a easy online compliance, it's easy compliance and plus it's also having a online portal. So you can easily address the grievance of the industries there. So industry to business to so if they have any issues they can easily get addressed. They have uniform tax rates nationwide. So it is the same concept of one nation one tax, one indirect tax. Then full ITC removes cascading. So what is ITC here? Input tax rate. So once you have to we saw it, there used to be a cascading and the tax will tax ಆಗ್ತಿತ್ತು. Because first one 10 rupees ಕೊಟ್ಟ, second one 20 ಕೊಟ್ಟ, third one 30 ಕೊಟ್ಟ. But actually ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಎಷ್ಟು ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು 10. So ಈಗ tax rate mechanism, input tax rate mechanism ಅಂದ್ರೆ they are getting their amount back, right? So at the end of the year or file ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ they are getting their amount back. So there is no cascading. So add on which keeps on repeating. Then you have lower cost increases the competitiveness. So what they say is like, see, in one way there is a compliance issue there for the smaller industries. But in bigger industries, so which has got more than 1.5 crore per annum. So for them, it is to the what to say coordination issue. But we are using different words to multiply the points. The multiple points we are just using the different words. So simplifies administration upon the now you don't have to coordinate the multiple administration. So illegal tax department to indirect tax department to or the illegal indirect tax department, it's very difficult to communicate, right? Because they don't have similar documents. Similar GST bill, invoice, tax documents, it becomes very difficult. But now there is a single tax, it simplifies the administration. Even across the state, it's very easy to administer the process. And GST inspector, they are recruited central only, right? So now they have a uniform administration, right? So here the state are recruited again there will be coordination issue. And which recruitment it goes? GST. SSC. SSC was the SSC CGL. So under that, the GST inspector will be recruited. So now there is a uniform administration across India. Then what better anti-evasion via invoice matching. So yaru tax avoid madake barudilla because invoice matching agi barutte. We can say that A idonu B kodtane, B idonu C kodtane. Let us say C idonu consumer kodtane. Right? So what happens? So ಎಲ್ಲರತ್ರನೂ GST bill ಇರುತ್ತದೆ. So GST bill ಏನಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಈ entity GST number ಆಮೇಲೆ ಈ entity GST number ಎರಡು ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇದೊಂದು ಮತ್ತೆ ಇದೊಂದು GST number ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಇವನು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ GST bill. So which will be containing GST number of this entity C entity. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರು ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಎವೇಡ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕಾಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ because whenever tax evasion ಆಯ್ತಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ it will be under the alert of GST inspectors. So ಅವರು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ they try to cross check it. So what they will do, they'll ask them, so they have taken some 100 goods, so 100 goods ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀರಲ್ಲ, so all 100 goods use ಆಗಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ. So if you are giving only 50 goods here means, so ನೀವು in 50 goods ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು ತಾನೆ. And moreover the point is in 50 goods ಗೆ ಏನಾದ್ರು ನೀವು ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಕೊಡಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಗವರ್ನಮೆಂಟ್ ಏನು ಅನ್ನೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಬಟ್ ಆ 50 goods ಗೆ ITC ಸಿಗುತ್ತಾ ನಿಮಗೆ, ಇನ್ಪುಟ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರೇಟ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತಾ? That's the reason nobody can evade the tax because ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಪೇ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಾರೆ GST ಅಲ್ಲಿ. To get extra amount pay ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ತಿರ್ಗಾ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗ್ತದೆ. ಲೈಕ್ ಲೆಟ್ ಅಸ್ ಸೇ GST ಫೈಲ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ಸ್ ಹಾಕಬೇಕಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ they have to put that under your GST bill. ಅವಾಗ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ವಾಪಸ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ it is lost to the business entity only. So that's why I say that with respect to government it is better for anti evasion and via invoice matching. Then wider tax base through formalization. So what is tax base? Tax rate and the tax rate is the percentage value with respect to the price of it. Tax base and people, like how many people are paying the tax. So ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನ tax pay ಮಾಡ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ we call it as tax base. So this widens the tax base through formalization because ಮುಂಚೆ tax base widen ಇದ್ದಿಲ್ಲ. What happens was like coordination issue ಇಲ್ಲ, so nobody used to comply. Compliance ಇದ್ದಿಲ್ಲ first of all, ಯಾರು rules and regulations follow ಮಾಡ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, and it was very difficult to follow also for them. Small vendors ಇರ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, vegetable vendors, if you go and ask them the tax ಅವ್ರು ಏನಂತಾರೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಾರೆ, right? Because multiple rules ಇದ್ದಾಗ it becomes very difficult to follow. But ಅದೇ GST ಬಂದಾಗ it's very easy to follow. You guys might have heard in the like last 2 months ಅಲ್ಲಿ there was in the news ಏನಪ್ಪಾ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಪಾನಿಪುರಿ ವೆಂಡರ್ಸ್ ಗೆ ವೆಜಿಟೇಬಲ್ ವೆಂಡರ್ಸ್ ಗೆ there was a fine of 40 like 10 lakh 20 lakh because transaction ಎಷ್ಟಾಗ್ತಿತ್ತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ 45 lakh to 50 lakh transaction ಆಗ್ತಿತ್ತು, and ಅವ್ರು GST ಪೇ ಮಾಡಿದಾರಾ? ಪೇ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ. So that's why you guys have tried, ನೀವು ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಫುಡ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲೋ ಹೋದಾಗ ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ರು ಸರ್ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಕೊಡಿ ಅಂತ. 2 months back that was a situation. This was the same thing. So ಈಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, because of GST it is easy for them to administer. UPI payment ನೋಡ್ತಾರೆ and UPI merchant payment. So ಯಾರು ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಅದು ಸ್ಕ್ಯಾನರ್ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, UPI merchant payment. So merchant payment ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ನೋಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಪೇ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ the GST inspector will analyze, and whenever they find the difference they put the complaint. So if compliance becomes necessary, right? Or compliance necessary ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, follow ಮಾಡಲೇಬೇಕು, ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಫೈನ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. So we say that wider tax base through formalization. Even though small street vendors like the Panipuri wala, even though they are informal in nature, but they are becoming formal in nature. So digital payment is there, they cannot hide the transaction. And automatically what will happen? It will widen the tax base. So if ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಜನ tax under ಬರ್ತಾರೆ, so ಎಲ್ಲರೂ tax pay ಮಾಡಲೇಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. Then you have higher revenue efficiency. Higher revenue efficiency ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ it's about effort by output. So ಈ output ಅಲ್ಲಿ can talk about the collection. So ಎಷ್ಟು effort ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ಎಷ್ಟು collection ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ಅಂತ tax, right? So ಅದೇ ಮುಂಚೆ ಇದ್ದಾಗ before GST was it easy? No, right? There was a coordination issue. So coordination issue iddaga you need to put more resources to just get 100 rupees. But ಈಗ ಏನಾಗಿದೆ, we have an online portal. So online portal ಇದೆ, then you have digital payments, then you have separate inspectors like GST inspectors who have uniform administration. So because of this you need very less effort to collect more tax. So we say that now GST has got high revenue efficiency for the government. Right? So ಇತ್ತೀಚೆಗೆ you guys will see the news for that. So ಈ month 3 lakh crore collect ಆಯ್ತು, ಈ next month 4 lakh crore collect ಆಯ್ತು. Initially ಎಷ್ಟು ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಿತ್ತ? Initially it was very difficult to attest the value. ಯಾರು ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಪಬ್ಲಿಷ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಿಲ್ಲ ಗವರ್ನಮೆಂಟ್, because even they don't know ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತದೆ ಅಂತ. But now because of GST they easily give the value every month that this month GST has increased or this month it has increased. In festival time alone it will go up to 6 lakh 7 lakh crore. Right? So what is respect to the consumers, it is a single transparent tax on this. Now you guys also don't have to get confused there. So the other goods togondru kuda you don't have to get confused. So yadu ಮೇಲೆ ಎಷ್ಟು percentage ಇದೆ. But before that it used to be an issue, right? So one full list ಇರ್ತಿತ್ತು, ಒಂದೊಂದು ಐಟಮ್ ಗೂ ಒಂದು different rate. But ಈಗ ಸ್ಲ್ಯಾಬ್ ರೇಟ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ಮಾತ್ರ 5 ಸ್ಲ್ಯಾಬ್ ರೇಟ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. So you easily know that so on which what tax is applied. And also lower prices due to the reduced cascading effect and the linkages. So ಮುಂಚೆ it used to be higher prices, like excise duty ಆಗಿತ್ತು, then VAT duty ಆಗಿತ್ತು, then ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸ್ಟೇಟಿಗೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ again VAT will be added. So one ಕಡೆ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕಡೆ ಬಿಡ್ತಿದ್ದಿಲ್ಲ ಅವರು, and they never used to care about the double counting. So ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, double counting ಆಗೋದ್ರಿಂದ the price of the consumer will be higher. So now the prices also have come down, which will be benefiting the consumer because of no cascading and no leakages. So then what are the challenges? So there are different challenges actually. The first is overhead structure is there. You can consider 0 as separate there. So you can say 5 slab. 5 slab structure is there, right? And then you have plus 3% on gold, and then you have success. See, even though simplify model, it is complicated at the end of the day because we still don't know whether to consider ice cream like the ice cream as a dairy product, right? So there's a lot of differences because if ice cream anta consider madre it becomes under 18% hogutte, and then if dairy product anta consider madre it comes under 5%. Meaning that so there is always a different like popcorn is last year issue ಆಗಿತ್ತಲ್ಲ. So what happens that so plain popcorn ಎಷ್ಟು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ it's around 5%. ಅದೇ ಏನದು caramel popcorn ಅಂದ್ರೆ it's a luxury item ಅಂದ್ರೆ it comes under 18%. So there is no proper what to say logical or rational thinking ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. So ಹೆಂಗ್ ಬೇಕು ಹಾಗೆ mix and match ಮಾಡ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ. So even the 4 rate structure or the 5 slab structure has become an issue there. So whether coconut is a fruit or not. So if biological ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕಡೆ fruit ಅಂತ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಒಬ್ಬರು ಒಂದು vegetable ಅಂತ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. So based on that also there is a difference in opinion. And then if petroleum, alcohol, electricity, real estate are kept outside the GST. And tell you what is the issue. So the electricity and petroleum ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ let's say work out for so for business entity, so petroleum and what to say the electricity ಬೇಕು ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. So you are using that as a input. So other production process ಗೆ input ಆಗಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ. So ಅದರ ಮೇಲೆ ಪೇ ಮಾಡಿರೋ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಅದು ನೀವು ITC ಕ್ಲೇಮ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾ, ಇನ್ಪುಟ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ರೇಟ್ ಮೆಕಾನಿಸಮ್ ಮಾಡಲೇಬೇಕು ಅಂತಾರೆ. But now it is not easy because it is not covered under the GST. So that's why we say that cannot claim ITC on this. So the cost for the production will increase for the business entities because in valuation ಇಲ್ಲ ಇದೆ. So valuation ಮೇಲೆ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಎಕ್ಸಾಕ್ಟ್ ಏನು ಇದೆ ಅದೇ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ, and you cannot claim the input tax. So this is also one of the issues with this thing. Then you have there's a high compliance burden. High compliance burden. So there's been both small and both big industries also we can say that, and especially with the small business. So even though you have what to say, what is the scheme that we have? Composition BTC. So even though we have, still we say that it is a high compliance burden. So small taxpayers with difficulties due to monthly return filings, e-way bills, matching invoices, and then maintaining the digital records. And then you have inverted duty structure. So this is one of the issue actually. So input tax rate correct claim ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. So So what they say is that paper ಮೇಲೆ GST ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ, it is 12%. At the books ಮೇಲೆ it is 0%. But which is the end product? The book. So input tax higher than the output. So the manufacturer pays more tax on input than they can recover from the final product. So that's why there is no rationality actually. There is an issue with the rationality with respect to GST. So ಯಾವ್ದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಯಾವ ತರ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಹಾಕ್ತಾರೆ ಹೇಳಕ್ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. So what they feel is like book ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಬೇಕಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ. But ಅದೇ paper ಮೇಲೆ so they put the 12% tax. So we call it as in some cases we have an inverted duty structure. But usually ಏನಾಗಬೇಕು? Let us say that so entity A ಇದೆ, then entity B, then entity C. So usually ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ one entity ಇಂದ one entity product ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ value addition ಆಗುತ್ತೋ ಅಥವಾ subtraction ಆಗುತ್ತೋ? Addition ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. So well, let us say that we have taken what to say ಇಲ್ಲಿ coconut ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ, fine. So in processor ಮೇಲೆ you are taking out the coconut water, fine. So ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಇಲ್ಲಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ you are using that coconut water for preparing the ice cream. So ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ಏನಾಗ್ತಿದೆ? So it is a proper coconut, here it is coconut water and it is coconut, let us say tender coconut ice cream, fine. So ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ಏನಾಗ್ತಿದೆ value addition. So value addition ಆದಂಗೆ so tax ಏನಾಗಬೇಕು? Should keep on increasing, right? So it becomes a luxury product here. Illi essential ಆದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ it becomes a luxury product. But inverted duty structure what is happening there? So ಹೋದಂಗೆ value addition ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ, but what is happening with the tax rate? It is getting decreased. So we say that there is a inverted duty structure which is also issue of your GST. So there is actually prelims ಅಲ್ಲಿ there is another kind of logic here. UPSC ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರಪ್ಪ ಅಂದ್ರೆ they will not give illogical things. UPSC illogical things ಕೊಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ. Illogical things ಕೊಟ್ರೆ you should consider them as fraud. Means ಏನೋ rationality ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ. So statement ಓದಿದ್ರಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಓಕೆ ಇದು ಪಾಸಿಬಲ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಸೊ ಅವರೇನು ಇದೆ ಯೂಶಲಿ ರೋಡಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿ ಹವಾಬಾಜಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, ಸೊ ಅದೇ ಥರ UPSC ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಹವಾಬಾಜಿ ಇತ್ತು, ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಹೊಗಳಿಕೆಯಿಂದ ಇತ್ತಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ you should consider that as a wrong statement, right? So I just show you one question which is on GST. Let us try to answer. And also focus on the extreme words. How the extreme word is there, it will be wrong. What is the answer? 100? Does it sound logical there? Right, as a logic is the havabazi statement. Other tumma this is. You should not what cross verify. See, ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ IMF ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅದೇನ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಅರ್ಥ. Right, but this is very much difficult to assess, right? You comprehend ಮಾಡೋದು ಕಷ್ಟ because we don't know in what way that will be succeeded or not we can achieve that thing. So this is wrong. But is this correct? So what this is wrong. And always focus on this one. UPSC is 10/10. It's 10/10. So ಯಾವ drastic word ಬರುತ್ತೆ it's always wrong. ನೀವು ಡೌಟ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದೇ ಬೇಡ, it's 10/10. You will not even say probability of 10% ಅಲ್ಲಿ 9 ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ 8 ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. It's always what? Remember it's 10/10. So drastic word ಬಂದಾಗ and also what? The enormous. So these are extreme keywords where your UPSC question will go wrong. A statement will wrong. You don't have to doubt. And then in another year, this is year of 27. Seems very difficult to arrive at the right answer as a final, but at least try to come to what 50-50 euro correct try what you can say. What's the answer? Sir, which are exempted under anything else? So this is the first thing that you guys learn. You will eliminate. How they eliminate? Okay. How? Means if you are aware of that, no, if you are aware of that, then that's okay. So, which is the first thing? See, packed food by GST is the packed food level. So you can eliminate this one, right? Processed and canned up ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ the canned food is what the most shop ಅಲ್ಲಿ signature shop ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗುತ್ತಲ್ಲ canned food. So canned MTR gulab jamun ನೋಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ? So ಅದಕ್ಕೆ GST ಇರುತ್ತೆ. So the first thing is that you guys can eliminate that. So what will happen then? So ಇದು ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ, then we will left out with these two. Then it becomes whether you know or you don't know. So the answer is actually C. But see, I am telling you, see, ಎಲ್ಲದು ಗೊತ್ತಿರೋದು very difficult, but at least try to arrive at the getting that point. Because ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಗೊತ್ತಿರೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೋ ಐಟಮ್ ಅಂತ. So at that time you have to arrive at 50. So to arrive at 50, just try to find out the most logical statement of what to say, the content in the question. So based on that only, you try to eliminate the remaining and then try to arrive at the right answer. ಇದೇ ತರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಇದೇ ತರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ in basic. Apart from 30 to 35 questions, everything starts with your game of logic, rationality, and math. Take out the notes for this. See, your life becomes easy and relaxed once you try to find out the obviously wrong statements. So obviously wrong statements are there. So other you have to try to find out that. Introduction of GST as it is. Introduction of GST. So after this GST, there is another excise duty and the so after that the tax system will come. The first one is biggest indirect tax reform. Biggest tax reform, indirect tax reform since independence. Biggest indirect tax reform since independence. Which took 16 years of consultations, which took 16 years of consultations and negotiations. Consultations and negotiations. Next one. Introduction of GST is an example of cooperative federalism. Put hyphen and write GST council. In the bracket 279B. GST council in the bracket article 279. Next one. With the introduction of GST, center gave a right to levy symposium. They use the word levy. In the bracket you can take out symposium. So center gave a right to levy excise and service tax. ಸೊ ಮುಂಚೆ ಈಗ ಸಿ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಆಸ್ ಅ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್, ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಆಸ್ ಅ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್, ಸೊ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಯಾರು ಅಂಡರ್ ಇತ್ತು? ಸೆಂಟರ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ. ಸೊ ದೇ ಗೇವ್ ಅಪ್ ದಟ್ ಪವರ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಸೆಡ್ ದಟ್ ನಾವು ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ will divide between the state and the center. So they gave up the right to level excise and the service tax. In the next statement, states gave up right to levy. States gave up the right to levy VAT, caps VAT, all caps. Then bracket take out value added tax. States gave up right to levy VAT, that is a value added tax, comma entry tax, comma entertainment tax, comma entertainment tax. Next one, GST subsumed 17 central, GST subsumed 17 central and state indirect taxes. GST subsumed 17 central and state indirect taxes. Then we have the GST slab rates. GST slab rates. Start the next line. These are different tax brackets. Which includes different tax brackets which includes 0%, 5%, 0%, 5%, 12, 18 and 28. 0, 5, 12, 18 and 28%. Under which goods and services are taxed in India. Goods and services are taxed in India. Next one. These slabs help classify items. These slabs help classify items based on essential, standard, or luxury. Essential, standard, or luxury nature. To ensure fair and balanced taxation. Next, take on problems before GST. First point, multiple indirect taxes by center. Created confusions. Like excise duty, service tax, additional excise duty. Next one. In similar way, there were multiple indirect taxes by states. Like VAT, entertainment luxury tax, luxury tax, luxury tax, purchase tax, purchase tax. So ಇದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗ್ತಿತ್ತು ಅವಾಗ ಈಗ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಬೇರೆ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಲಕ್ಸುರಿ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇರೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ಬಟ್ ಈಗ ಅವ್ರು ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಮಾಡೋಕೆ ಬರೋದು ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಪೇ ಇಟ್. ಸೊ ಅವಾಗ ದೇ ಅಗೇನ್ ದೇ ಪೇ ಇಶ್ಯೂ. ಸೊ ಅವ್ರು ಥಿಂಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲಿದೆ ದೇ ವೈ ಟು ಬೈ ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್. Next one, these multiple taxes. Next one, these multiple taxes had cascading effect. These multiple taxes had cascading effect. Cascading effect. That is tax on tax. That is tax on tax, which made price of the good, price of the good costly. Price of the good costly. Next point. There was no uniformity. There was no uniformity because of different VAT rates. There was no uniformity because of different VAT rates across states. Different VAT rates across states resulted in coordination issue. Next point. There was no seamless SCA. There was no seamless input credit. There was no seamless input credit mechanism across states. Next point. India became a fragmented market. Harming business and investment. Next is the nature of GST. Is this only for PowerPoint customers or there is internet also on this?
Internet. Yes, sir. Internet.
Nature of GST. First one, it is one nation, one indirect tax. It is underline that one nation, one indirect tax. It is one nation, one indirect tax. Next one, GST is imposed on supply of goods and services. Next point, GST is a value added tax. Applied only on value addition. There are three types of GST. Three types of GST. Two types are right. First one is what? CGST. It is whose share? Central. Then we have SGST. Right? IGST. Interstate supply. CGST, that is central share. SGST GST that is state share, IGST for interstate supply. The next point, GST eliminates. Next point, GST eliminates cascading effect. GST eliminates cascading effect through input tax credit. GST eliminates cascading effect through input tax credit. Next point, GST is a consumption based. GST is a consumption based or destination based tax. GST is a consumption based or destination based tax. Below that, continue. Not an expert for the general explanation. If A is a manufacturer, if A is a manufacturer from Uttar Pradesh, if A is a manufacturer from Uttar Pradesh, and B is the final consumer, and B is the final consumer from Bihar, then the entire state GST, collected, will go to Bihar, and UP will not get, any SGST, Take the new line, continue the new line. This is why GST is called consumption based. This is why GST is called consumption based or destination based tax. This is why GST is called consumption based or destination based tax, because the SGST goes to the state, where the goods are, because SGST goes to the state where the goods are, for me to repeat, where the goods are finally consumed, comma, not where they are produced. Finally consumed, comma, not where they are produced. Next, constitutional basis for GST. First point. Constitutional basis for GST. That's the reading. First point. GST was introduced through 101st Constitutional Amendment, Constitutional Amendment Act in 2016. Constitutional Amendment Act in 2016. To stop and continue. It led to creation of GST Council. GST Council under Article 279A. Next one. Multiple GST acts were passed to support GST regime. To support GST regime. Just write it. Below that point, write these acts. CGST Act. See, see, whenever there is a GST, there will be a CGST and SGST, right? Normal ಆಗಿ, right? ಈಗ ನೀವು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ SGST ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, ಬಟ್ ಅದು ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ? It go to the consumption state. So that is your IGST. So again CGST plus IGST ಅಥವಾ CGST plus SGST. ಈ SGST ಕನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ because anyway it's 50-50, right? So 50-50 ಇದ್ದಾಗ ನೀವು GST 18 ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ 9 ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು, ಇಲ್ಲಿ 9 ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಅದು ಇನ್ಸೈಡ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಇದ್ದಾಗ 9 ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ, ಇಂಟರ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ? GST itself is a consumption base. There is no doubt. See, IGST is a principle, right? So, I think. See, as a whole, GST see, GST is for different principles. So, input credit mechanism is there. So, value added to either, right? See, in the same way, consumption based job ಬರುತ್ತೆ. So, ಈಗ ನೀವು ಒಳಗೆ ಇಂಟ್ರಾಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಕನ್ಸ್ಯೂಮ್ ಮಾಡೋದಾಗ ನೀವು IGST ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತೀರಾ? ಇಲ್ಲ, ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಯಾವಾಗ ಬರೋದು? Interstate between two states. So that will be consumption based only. So in general, GST consumption based ಅಥವಾ ಯಾವಾಗ ಅಂತೀವಪ್ಪ ಅಂದ್ರೆ when there is a interstate trading happening, like whenever there is interstate trade that is happening. So ಇಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ you will not even go for the things. ಈಗ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ, ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಕನ್ಸ್ಯೂಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಇವಾಗ GST ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ? ನೀವೇ ಕನ್ಸ್ಯೂಮ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ ಆ ಥರ. ಕಾಪಿ any doubt? Then copy. Next, take on the heading GST concept. First, take on the composition. Right. And the chairperson is the Union Finance Minister chairperson. Below that, so GST council includes GST council consists of total 33 members. Consists of total 33 members. Among that, two are from center. Among that, two are from center. Two definite, right? Union Finance Minister and the Union Minister of State for Finance. These two people. And rest are from states. I mean, that two are from center. Two definite, right? One is the Union Finance Minister, other is Union Minister of State for Finance. So hope you guys are clear with this one, right? Union Minister of State for Finance. So Union Minister, like Union Agriculture Minister kuda irtare. But at the same time we have Union Minister of State for Agriculture. So those are kind of deputy ministers under the main minister. Next take on the functions of GST funds. Functions of GST funds. The first part, it recommends rate of GST. It recommends rates of GST. It recommends rates of GST. Next one, it recommends cesses. It recommends cesses, exemptions. Cesses, exemptions, and threshold limits. Next one, it recommends IGST principle. It recommends IGST principles. Next one, it recommends special rates. It recommends special rates. It recommends special rates during disaster. During disasters. Next statement again. Three-fourths of the majority of votes, that is 75%, continuous, is needed to pass any decision. Just continue. You guys got the first one?
No.
Just write this one, don't copy this one as of now. So three-fourths of majority votes in the bracket, that 75% is needed to pass any decision. Is needed to pass any decision in GST Council. Is needed to pass any decision in GST Council. Then copy down this. Irritated 33.33%. Next item, implementation features of GST. Implementation features of GST. That's the heading. Implementation features of GST. First one is destination based tax. First one is destination based tax. Put icon containing GST goes to where goods are consumed. GST goes to where goods are consumed, comma, not where produced. Not where produced. Full stop and continue. Distributed 50-50. Distributed 50-50 between center and consuming state. Between center and consuming state. Next one, exports. Second one, exports. What type of rating? Exports are zero rated. Exports are zero rated. Exports are zero rated. Now, exports are effectively. Exports are effectively tax free. Exports are effectively tax free under GST. Effectively tax free under GST because all the GST paid is refunded. Because all the GST paid is refunded, making the net tax zero. Because all the GST paid is refunded, making the net tax zero. Next is imports. Imports. It includes both custom duty. And IGST. It includes both custom duty and IGST. Net import tax is equal to custom duty plus IGST. Net import tax is equal to custom duty plus IGST. Below that right now, imports are treated as interstate supply. Imports are treated as interstate supply. So if they are treating that as interstate supply means so IGST ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. So import ಯಾರು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊತಿರ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, so those people will get the IGST. Next take on the heading electronic e-way bill. Electronic way bill in the bracket e-way bill. Electronic way bill. This is the next feature in the bracket e-way bill. So for that take down the subpoints. For e-way bill subpoints. E-way bill is under GST regime. E-way bill is under E-way bill is under GST regime. Next point. E-way bill is a document. E-way bill is a document issued by a carrier. Issued by a carrier. E-way bill is a document issued by a carrier giving details and instructions relating to the shipment of a consignment of goods. Next one, it is mandatory if the value of goods is greater than 50,000. The value of the goods is greater than 50,000. Next point, e-way bill ensures compliance. E-way bill ensures compliance and reduces ensures compliance and reduces tax evasion. And reduces tax evasion. Here the next picture, composition levies. Next one, composition levies. Under that first subpart,
Composition.
levies, L-E-V-Y. Composition levy. Right. Under that first subpart, for small businesses. For small businesses up to 1.5 crore turnover, up to 1.5 crore turnover. Composition levy scheme up to 1.5 crore turnover. Composition levy scheme is applied. Composition levy scheme is applied. Full stop and continue. The objective of this scheme is to bring simplicity and to reduce the compliance cost for the small businesses. Compliance cost for the small businesses. Just wait. Just remember this one. For service providers, so what is the limit? It is only up to 50 lakhs. So for all others, it is 1.5 crore. But for service products, they cannot claim input tax because it becomes a double wage. Yeah. Next picture. GST compensations. Next picture is GST compensations. GST compensations. Here the first point. States were worried about revenue loss. States were worried about revenue loss. After implementation of GST. For that reason, GST guaranteed 14% annual. For that reason, center guaranteed 14% 14% annual growth rate, annual revenue growth, 14% annual revenue growth for 5 years. From 2017, for 5 years, from 2017 to 2022. From 2017 to 2022. Next point. For this compensation, GST compensation cess. For this compensation, GST compensation cess collected on luxury and sin goods. Below that, write as a conclusion for that compensation. And then let's call it conclusion. Put icon and continue. But not all states are satisfied. With the compensation framework. As some remain unhappy about the levels. And timing of payments. Next heading, the main heading, benefits of GST. This sends all your features of GST. Next heading, benefits of GST. And then that first one is for business and industry. So we have 3 stakeholders here. First we'll start with respect to business and industry. Benefits of GST is already in that subheading for business and industry. Below that first point, online IT system of GST. Online IT system of GST makes compliance faster and easier. Next point, uniform tax rates removes state-wise differences. Uniform tax rates removes state-wise differences in taxation. Next one, full input tax credit. Removes, there is no reduction here. Removes cascading and reduces the cost of goods. Next one, lower production costs of goods. Improves business competitiveness. Next one, zero rating of exports. Makes Indian goods makes Indian goods cheaper globally, makes Indian goods cheaper globally, makes Indian goods cheaper globally, and increases export competitiveness, and increases export competitiveness. Next one, paper for government. So we are still not under the benefits of GST. So first is for business and industry. Second is for government. So what are the benefits for government? Another plus point. GST strengthens. First one, GST strengthens cooperative federalism. GST strengthens cooperative federalism through joint decision making, in GST Council. Through joint decision making in GST Council. Next point. One unified tax. Simplifies administration. One unified tax simplifies administration for center and state. For center and states. Next one. Digital invoice matching. Digital invoice matching reduces tax evasion. Next one. GST widens the tax base. By formalizing. GST widens the tax base by formalizing more businesses. So stop and continue. Post GST implementation. Many informal sector. Post GST implementation. Many informal sector have become formal. Many informal sectors have become formal to get the benefits of input tax credit mechanism. Next point, better compliance has improved efficiency of revenue collection. Better compliance has improved efficiency of revenue collection. Next one is for consumers. The third stakeholder is your consumer. For consumers. First point. Single transparent tax replaces multiple hidden taxes. Which increases consumer confidence. Next one. Lower cascading and leakage. Reduce reduce the final price burden. Reduce the final price burden on the consumer. Reduce the final price burden on the consumer. Next take on challenges in GST. Challenges in GST. There is a different slab structure. First one, challenges in GST. There is a different slab structure. Like 5%, 5% or 12%, 5, 12, right, or 5, 12, 18, 28. 5, 12, 18, 28, comma 0, comma 0, comma plus 3% on gold, plus 3% on gold, and cess, plus 3% on gold and cess. Put hyphen and cut here. This often creates confusion. This often creates confusion among consumers. This often creates confusion among consumers as classification as dispute related to classification of goods, as dispute related to classification of goods still remains. You know that an example. Let me repeat. Take an example. There is always a doubt. Right? There is always a doubt. There is always a doubt. Whether ice cream is a standard. Whether ice cream is a standard food. Whether ice cream is a standard food or luxury food. Standard food or luxury food or essential food like dairy product or essential food like dairy product. Okay. Next one, petroleum, comma alcohol, petroleum, comma alcohol, electricity and real estate. Petroleum, alcohol, electricity and real estate are kept outside GST. Because of this entities cannot claim. Because of this, entities cannot claim input tax credit. Cannot claim input tax credit on these goods. Cannot claim input tax credit on these goods, which increases the cost of production. Next one, high compliance burden. Next one is high compliance burden. High compliance burden. Put hyphen and continue. For small taxpayers, high compliance burden. Put hyphen and continue. Small taxpayers face difficulties. Small taxpayers face difficulties due to monthly return filings. Due to monthly return filings, e-way bills. Monthly return filings, e-way bills, matching invoices, and maintaining digital records. Next challenge, inverted duty structure. Put again continue. Inputs are taxed higher than output. Inputs are taxed higher than outputs. So the manufacturer pays more tax on inputs, then they can recover on final products. Example, GST on paper is 12%. Example, GST on paper is 12%, but GST on books is 0%. GST on paper is 12%, but GST on books is 0%. There are only 3 more topics. The excise duty, then you have what to say, cess and surcharge is there, and then LAFAS you guys already know. We have discussed that many times. So what is the excise duty? What we discussed? Excise duty. So as soon as the production is happened, production of the factory is already over. The first tax that it put is excise duty. And before GST, excise duty I hope it used to collected by the center. So center hope it. Then after GST regime, for the introduction of GST, they gave the right to impose or levy excise duty. So excise duty now will happen after cancel out. But still there is an excise duty on few of the products. Like your goods which are exempted in GST available, alcohol, petroleum, electricity, they are still under the excise. There are even more products, we go to that. Imposed on the manufactured goods and was levied when the goods moved out of the factory area. So it's not with respect to service. Service are differentiate. It's only with respect to what? The goods, as soon as they move out of the the factory area, they will pay the excise duty. So excise duty is not part of your GST. Correct question, after GST that was not implemented in 1st July 2017, excise duty was removed on almost all goods. So that's what we are using. What? Almost all goods it is removed. Because now everything is under GST regime. But there are still few goods which are still under your excise duty. And who collects the excise duty? In some cases, both central and state. Most of the time, it is central. So where all it exists? So now we leave it only on these products. Just remember this because GST paid the list. So hard rice paid the credit. And then what they ask, newspaper may have the canned fish and processed foods. So in the same way, they can ask on which all items it is not included, or in which all items there is a excise duty. They can ask the list. So first one is your petrol is there, then diesel is there, then we call it as what? The white petroleum or aviation turbine. Then we have natural gas and liquor for human consumption. It is under state excise. So what are the liquor for what lab purpose iruttala? So lab purpose iruttala, the medical purposes. If you are buying the liquor, then that comes under your GST area. But the general kudiತಾರೆ human consumption upon that, it comes under excise duty. So they can put more tax on it. And then you have tobacco products. So these are same goods. So it includes both GST and excise. Both are included here. Because they know that the ST increase ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ that will run. Because there is, so now they will increase even more, right? How many of you know? From what price you want they increase? Think away, only guess. Any guess? If you know the right way, that's fine. How much they have increased? 25 from? They increased. Like they are still going to increase. It's not going to stop actually. She said that the Nirmala Sitharaman has given a statement that so what everyone should not be accessible to the tobacco products. So to that extent, we will increase the price there. So they have, for so many they have increased the price. So which was 18 has become 25 now. So you can see the difference. There 7 rupees increasing. Some 10 become 12, 15 become 17. So they are still going to increase for the price of the tobacco. Then why it still exists? Because GST does not cover the petroleum products and alcohol, so that's why the excise, what to say, the duty still exists there. So center and state still collect the excise duty on those things. So that itself, we should just know what is excise duty and should know that even though excise duty comes through Buddha, the still excise duty remains on few of the products. You should know the list of the products. That's more than enough. So that's why when they started this scheme, right? Oil scheme ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನಭಾಗ್ಯ ಯೋಜನೆ ಇದೆ, the ಗೃಹಲಕ್ಷ್ಮಿ ಗೃಹಜ್ಯೋತಿ and all those things. So ಆ ಸ್ಕೀಮಿಗೆ they had very less funds, you know that, right? So funds ತುಂಬಾ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಇತ್ತು ಅವಾಗ. But ಈಗ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಅವ್ರು ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಬರುತ್ತಾ? And ಆ GST ಮಾಡಕ್ ಬರಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ because it is informed members ಇದೆ. So ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದವ್ರು ಒಬ್ಬರೇ ಹೋಗಿ ಸರ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಕೀಮಿಗೆ ದುಡ್ಡು ಇಲ್ಲ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಡೀ ಇಂಡಿಯಾಗೆ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಯಾರು. So that's why the Karnataka people, the government what they did was that they increased tax on alcohol. Because alcohol is a state excise. So at that time the price was shoot up at like anything actually, because they wanted to compensate that money for the other scheme. Right? So wherever they can control, they just try to increase that. And they also diverted so many welfare funds. So this scheme there will be welfare funds, social welfare funds ಅಂತ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. You know this free coaching institute, the free coaching scheme and planning is the government. So what they tell that you have to write an exam. If you are the category student or OBC category, so you guys will go and write the exam. So ಯಾರ್ಯಾರು ಪಾಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಏನು ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಫ್ರೀ ಕೋಚಿಂಗ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. then what they will do, monthly expenditure ಕೂಡ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ, 5 to 6,000. so ಆ ಇಯರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಂತಪ್ಪ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾರು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಂಡಿಚರ್ ಕೊಡಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಫ್ರೀ ಕೋಚಿಂಗ್ ಏನೋ ಸಿಕ್ತು ಬಟ್ nobody got the expenditure amount because they diverted all the social welfare funds toward these schemes. So that's how government will do. So there is no strict and rigid rule ಇಲ್ಲ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ, ಯಾವ ಫಂಡ್ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಹಾಕಿರ್ತಾರೆ. So in the same way, however they can, they will what put the tax whichever is under their control. But GST they cannot impose or they cannot alter it because it requires majority decisions. It requires what decision of whole India is. Okay. Then you have cess and surcharge. So what is this? It is a tax on tax. So let us say that in tax 10% ಇತ್ತಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, so they will collect additional 2% or let us say the 3%. So whatever this addition is there, we call it as tax or tax, and for that we have two types, that is cess and surcharge. So there is just like, see, both are tax or tax. That is a bigger similarity. And then another bigger similarity or like it's the same thing is that, so ಈ ಉಳಿದಿದ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಓದಿಲ್ಲ, ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಡಿವಿಸಿಬಲ್ ಕೂಡ ಇಂಡಿವಿಸಿಬಲ್ ಕೂಡ. You know the words divisible ಕೂಡ ಇಂಡಿವಿಸಿಬಲ್. ಅದು ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಜೊತೆ ಶೇರ್ ಆಗ್ತಿತ್ತಾ ಮುಂಚೆ ಇದ್ದು, ಇದರ GST, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಎಕ್ಸೈಸ್ ಡ್ಯೂಟಿ ಓದಿದ್ವಿ, ಅದು ಶೇರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Even the center collect ಮಾಡುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, at the end of the day finance commission will say that finance commission is the body, it's a constitutional body and under article 280 it will say that this much amount should be going to the states, right? So usually ella tax and it is under divisible pool, it will be divided between center and the state in every year. But cess and surcharge idella, this goes under indivisible pool. Indivisible pool ಅಂದ್ರೆ the money is collected only by the center and it remains with the center. Rules ಏನಿಲ್ಲ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ, ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಜೊತೆ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡಲೇಬೇಕಂತ there is no rules. Even in the constitution it is mentioned that it lies only with the center. So that is the also issue with the cess and surcharge. I asked, right? So So what is the another confrontation or the issue between center and state? This is another issue. So what states demand is that you guys collect so much of cess and surcharge, but you guys are not dividing among the states or distributing among the states. Okay, we got the similarity. So the same thing is what? It is a tax on tax, and the difference is what? Means with respect to the all other tax and your cess and surcharge, it is under indivisible pool. So whatever the center gets, it will just keep it. It will not share it with the other states. So these are two types of taxes laid down by the government on the citizens in order to collect revenue for the government functioning. So it's also the same revenue, but the only difference is what? It is tax on tax. So I will tell you the main difference, then we will go for the table. Cess and surcharge here, the main difference is about the purpose. So cess collect ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ 10% ಮೇಲೆ extra 2% ತಗೋತಾರೆ. Surcharge ಮೇಲೆ extra 2% ತಗೋತಾರೆ ಅಥವಾ 3% ತಗೋತಾರೆ. But the point is cess ಹಾಕಿದಾಗ they have to mention the purpose. It's extra tax ಹಾಕಿದಾಗ extra tax ಹಾಕಿದಾಗ 1 or 2% ಹಾಕಿದಾಗ they have to mention the purpose for what they are using. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಆ purpose mention ಮಾಡಿ ಆ cess collect ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ they cannot use it for other purpose. ಈಗ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಸೆಸ್ ಅಂತ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಸೆಸ್ ಅಂತ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಇಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ದಟ್ ಆ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಟು ಗೋ ಫಾರ್ ವಾಟ್? ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಪರ್ಪಸ್ ಅಥವಾ ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಪರ್ಪಸ್. ಸ್ವಚ್ಛ ಭಾರತ್ ಅಭಿಯಾನ್ ಸೆಸ್ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಕೂಡ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಫಾರ್ 2%. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ವಾಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ ದೇರ್? ಆ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಎಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ? ಓನ್ಲಿ ಫಾರ್ ಸ್ವಚ್ಛ ಭಾರತ್ ಅಭಿಯಾನ್. ಸೊ ಇದು ಒಂದು ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಪರ್ಮಿಷನ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ವಿ ಕಾಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಇಯರ್ ಮಾರ್ಕ್. ಇಯರ್ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸೊ ಇನಿಷಿಯಲಿ ದೇ ಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ದ ಪರ್ಪಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ವಾಟ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್. So that is your cess, and then your cess is for all systems. ಎಲ್ಲರ ಮೇಲೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಸೆಸ್. ಸೊ ನೀವು ಯಾವುದೇ ಗೂಡ್ಸ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಆ GST ಮೇಲೆ ಸೆಸ್ ಆಡ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ GST ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಸೆಸ್ ಆಡ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, and there will be mentioned ಯಾವುದು ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮೇಲೆ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ ನೋಡಬೇಕು. It is will be mentioned there. ಸ್ವಚ್ಛ ಭಾರತ್ ಅಭಿಯಾನ್ ಸೆಸ್ ಅಂತ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಸೆಸ್ ಅಂತ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, even your GST ರೆಸ್ಟೋರೆಂಟ್ ಕೂಡ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Right? So that cess will be for all systems. Getting that? So this is also tax on tax, but this is for all. But what happens with the surcharge? Surcharge ಅಂದ್ರೆ it is for general purpose. ಅವ್ರು ಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ. ಗವರ್ನಮೆಂಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ಎನಿ ಪರ್ಪಸ್. ಸೊ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ನೋ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ಡ್ ರೂಲ್. ನಾವು ಹೆಲ್ತ್ಗೆ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿಲ್ಲ. ಸರ್ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಇಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ಜನರಲ್ ಪರ್ಪಸ್. ಅವ್ರು ಯಾವುದು ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬಹುದು. ಅಂಡ್ ದೆನ್ ದ ಮೇನ್ ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದಟ್ ಸರ್ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ಆಲ್. ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಫಾರ್ ಹೈ ಸ್ಯಾಲರಿ ಪೀಪಲ್. High income bracket ಆಗಿರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, let us say about 10, above 15 lakh, above 20 lakh ಇರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, only for those people it is applied, not for all. But ಇದೇ ಅಂತ ಸೆಸ್ ಇದ್ದು it's for all. It's included along with the GST and will be on the product. But surcharge is collected only for the income. So you have higher income brackets ಇರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಅಥವಾ high salary people, only from them they collect your surcharge. What the main difference? So both are tax on tax, and both will go to Consolidated Fund of India. This is another feature. And then what? Both are not divided among the states. ಎರಡು ಕೂಡ ಡಿವೈಡ್ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. Then what are the differences? Cess ಇರೋದು ಎಲ್ಲರ ಮೇಲೂ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಬಟ್ ಸರ್ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಇರೋದು ಇದು ಓನ್ಲಿ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಆಗೋಲ್ಲ high salary people or the high income bracket people. Then another difference is that cess is for particular purpose. So cess ಅಂತ ನೀವು ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ you will mention that education of health cess ಅಂತ, and it should be used for that purpose only. ಅದನ್ನ ಒಂದಕ್ಕೆ ತಗೊಂಡು ಇನ್ನೊಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. You cannot even share the fund. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕಡೆ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಬರಲ್ಲ, ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಬರಲ್ಲ. You have to use it for that purpose only. But in case of surcharge, they will not mention anything. They will just say that we are collecting extra tax for government function. Any note with this? So we said right, GST compensation cess ಅಂತ collect ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. So then ಅಲ್ಲಿ collect ಮಾಡೋದು ಯಾರು ಹೋಗ್ತಿರೋದು? Only for GST compensation. So that's why ಯಾವಾಗ cess ಅಂತಾಗಲೂ ಕೂಡ we use the purpose. So first purpose mention ಮಾಡಿ, then we use the word cess. Health cess, education cess, GST compensation cess, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan cess. So purpose mention ಮಾಡಿ we can mention the cess. Very cess ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ there is no meaning to it. But the surcharge ಅಂದಾಗ they will not mention the purpose because it is general in nature. So this is the table. So what are the tax? This is a tax on tax limit for a specific purpose. This is for what? Tax on tax limit for high income taxpayers. So always earmark means they always mention the, so for what scheme or for what sector it is dedicated. So used to increase the revenue for government, and it is not earmark means they will not mention any purpose. So now this year government feel that they should increase the revenue collection. So ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂತ ತಕ್ಷಣ what they will do, they put the surcharge. They will not mention for what purpose. So it is limit on all taxpayers depending on the type of cess. Limit only on the individuals crossing specific income slabs. So it is proposed under Article 270 and this is under Article 271. Both are constitutional value. Must be used only for the select stated purpose and it goes to the constituent fund without specific allocation. Swachh Bharat cess, health cess, Krishi Kalyan cess is there. Here you have 10%, 15%, 25% surcharge on high income groups. But there is no proper purpose. So it is an example. Then what are the similarities? Both are limited by whom? Any doubts? Both are limited by whom? State government has got no role in cess and surcharge. Both are credited to what? States do not get the share from either of cess and surcharge. States has got no role in it. Then both are additional charges over the above the basic tax. Basic tax, 10% basic tax is there. Other than +1, +2, +3, they will take the extra. So you call that what? Tax on tax. That's it. Fine. You have one last topic there. That is your Laplace curve. You already know, right? So what it says? So one threshold limit annually, what people will do? People will start for like they go for tax evasion ಹೋಗಬಹುದು, tax hiding ಹೋಗಬಹುದು, ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡೋದೇ ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ, ರೈಟ್? ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ನೀವು 100 ರೂಪೀಸ್ ಸ್ಯಾಲರಿ ಇದ್ದಾಗ 90 ರೂಪೀಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಫ್ರೀ ಅನ್ನ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಗ್ಲೋಸ್ ಜೊತೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಅದನ್ನ ಸೆಟಲ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಅದನ್ನ ಸೆಟಲ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. They will not work, right? They will not have any motivation. So they say that there is a threshold limit. So we don't know the threshold limit. It varies from nation to nation. So it is just that there is a threshold limit. You can take it as some variable. ಅದು ಆಮೇಲೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ you should not increase the tax. Maximum ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಷ್ಟೇ. So in India as of now it ಬಂದ್ರೆ 30% tax ಇದೆಲ್ಲ about 84 lakh, that should be the maximum. So ಇದು ಮೇಲ್ಗಡೆ ಹೋಗಬಾರ್ದು. ಇದು ಮೇಲ್ಗಡೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? It will disincentive. It will call it disincentive. ಈಗ ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಟ್ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಗೊತ್ತಿರುತ್ತೆ, so what they tell, ತುಂಬಾ ಸ್ಯಾಲರಿ ತಗೋತಾರೆ, ತುಂಬಾ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ತಗೋತಾರೆ, so that's an issue, right? Because now we are here, we are telling that tax is good, but once you also go to corporate, you will say that tax is bad, because it will not motivate people. Salary no ಬರುತ್ತೆ, CTC ಬರ್ದಿರ್ತಾರೆ, cost of the company will be written at 30 lakh ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿಗೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ it will be demotivation. So they say that it should not increase beyond this point. Even it goes same for the entities also. So farmer sector ಇರುತ್ತೆ, registered entity ಇರುತ್ತೆ, but GST ನಾವು 50% ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಅವರು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, GST ರೇಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ಬೇಡ ಮಾರಾಯ, without that only we can earn money. So they just start hiding the tax. So once they start hiding the tax, what will happen to the tax collection? Revenue ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? It will come down. So whenever the revenue comes down, so what will be impact of the government? It will not have any funds. So funds illappa andre there is no infrastructure and also there is no welfare scheme. So it will impact society as a whole. So that's why we should try to maintain it within a, like what to say, manageable range. Shows the relationship between tax rate and tax revenue. Assuming that revenue increases only up to a point. After that it will keep on decreasing. So beyond that point, higher tax rates reduces revenue because people work less, evade taxes or shift to informal activity. Registration ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅವರು, right? GST 50%, 40% ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ what they do? So without registration ಏನು ತೆಗಿತಾರೆ? Digital payment ತೆಗಿತಾರೆ. They not even go for digital payment. So ದುಡ್ಡು ಕೊಡಿ ಅಂತ ಪಾನಿಪುರಿ ಹಾಕೊಂಡು ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಮುಗಿತಾರೆ. So there is no tax rate, there is no tax collection, no nothing. This is your tax. Is it? Okay? 10:55. Yes, I did. You guys have any work after class? But this completes the tax.
ಇದು ಹೇಳಿ ಬ್ರೋ, ನಿನ್ನೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. Hello guys.